Assalamu alaikum and yari madad to all Mumnin and viewers. I'm your host Syed Jamil Ahsan, and I welcome you on behalf of QAIM TV in today's episode of discussion with Dr. Naweed Syed. As we have talked before, these discussions are in line with QAIM TV's programming theme of Vision 2050, Maktab-e Ahlebait. Um, with me on the panel, we have a bigger panel today. So we have Ameera Jaffrey, who's a new participant. Welcome, Ameera. We have Faryal Zahra, Ibrahim, and we have Raiha. Raiha will be joining in a few minutes, but Raiha Fatma will be our last participant in this. Just to give a brief update, both Ameera and Faryal are in the second year of their undergrad. Raya Fatima is on grade 9, and Ibrahim Rizvi is in grade 10. So we have a good mix of different levels of educations, and I'm sure they will benefit further from discussions with Dr. Saab. And of course, our expert, Dr. Naweed Syed, is here. I welcome all of you, um, and to start this program, I wanted Dr. Saab to take over, and he has a beautiful video, a very knowledgeable video for us to see. Bismillah, Dr. Saab.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Once again, Jamil Bhai, aapka, we're grateful and thankful to you for organizing this, and all the youth. I always say that they are the gift of Imam Zamana to us, and we're really privileged and a tremendous honor to be able to stick in your company. So I think, last program we talked about technology and the techniques and the area where the world is heading. So I'm going to show you a small little video, and this may make you a little bit uncomfortable. You can turn off if you get scared, but I think that's what the idea of this program is, to take you into 2050, the future, and the future the way we perceive it's coming. Many of these aspects you think are still look like science fiction, but I think during this series of programs, if I got the opportunity to really tell you where we are in my own research and in our lab, we will take you there and show you how far we have actually come and whether this future is almost here as a reality. So I'll pass it over to you, Jamil Bhai. I just wanted to make sure that I give them the flavor so we get connected with our previous program as well, to be able to really maybe start the discussion for this particular episode.
MashaAllah, Dr. Saab. I don't know if these guys have seen it, but in our relatively younger ages, we were watching the series for Terminator, and just the other day I saw the last part of it, and I'm thinking, yeah, the video that you showed is taking me there, because that's what was happening: artificial intelligence taking over the world and so on. But yeah, this is something that really opens up our eyes. Um, I wanted to start today's program with the question that pertains a bit more to our students, our youth that are in the Western hemisphere. Um, what are the challenges? And I know our youth is facing that, so they know, but for the sake of our audience, what are the challenges that our youth are facing in the academic environment, especially in our Western society, being not only from Shia faith, but like from people who are coming from all over the world of different ethnicities and different religions? What are the challenges that are being faced by them?
So, these are really fantastic questions. And I think just to connect us back with the other two episodes that we have done, we derived, because we are, Jafri, or we belong to the fiqh Imam Jafri Sadiq alayhi salam. He was the first one to organize a university. And the school was established, as I said in the last program, in Masjid al-Nabawi, the Prophet's Mosque, and he had close to 4,500 students. And the subjects that were taught there was religion, philosophy, and sciences. And then the message that he delivered with the religious education is no different than sciences and philosophy. What he made really, mandatory subjects with Quran and Hadith, because, in our lab, we tell our students always to go and spend some time in the library. And, 1 month in the library will save you 6 months in the lab. So you need to really do your homework, find out what has been done, where the field is, what is really being done. And then the major task that he assigned to his student was the data compilation and the information gathering, and then the fact finding. So this is really important, that any knowledge that you acquire is based on these aspects. And Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam, he taught us that science is evidence-based and it is experimentally driven, meaning that you have to do experiments to really move the field of science forward. But it has, with the end goal of answering certain very specific questions. And he taught and talked about philosophy that it doesn't provide definitive answers. It has often open-ended, and it helps to develop social and an emotional intelligence. So in our medical school, what happens is that when students come, we don't give them GPA percentage, divisions or different kinds of degree assignments. It's simple fail and pass, because your IQ will bring you to that level. From there onward, it is social and emotional intelligence. And it is only when you cross these two other boundaries of your intellect, then you arrive where the spiritual intelligence is. This is where then you begin to connect with the greater world, as well as the Almighty and our Masumin as well. So Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam always, said that together they will help develop spiritual intelligence, which is needed for self-recognition, and then the recognition and acknowledgement of oneness of Allah, the Almighty, all-knowing, and the creator of the universe. So that really is the fundamental kernel of our education system. Now, how do we go about doing this? And I can tell you that if you don't study and work for the love of knowledge, or work but only for money, it is highly unlikely that you will make any money, nor will you find much fun in life. So this is really, really important, as that do each thing as if you do nothing else. And if you really want to make your dreams come true, and I always mention this, if you want your dreams to come true, wake up to the realities and see where the world is heading, how you could be a part of this world, what it is that you can actually contribute. And as I said in the last program, what made me really, venture out on my career aspiration are the very things that got me in trouble. I would always do things that you should never do to upset. And I always give this example, that I will venture out and do things that, will get me in trouble most of the time. So the important thing to remember is that your goal, this should be clear enough to be kept in focus. So don't have some wishy-washy, goals in your life. Make sure that they are, clear, and then you can focus on them. And they are also close enough to be achieved. Yes, in this program, we are talking about 2050, but what you need to think about is the next 50 or 90 days. So your goals should be close enough so that you can actually achieve. And every time you cross that hurdle, raise the bar. When you cross over, raise the bar. And then also your goals, they should be helpful enough to change lives. So change the lives of other people. You put a smile on someone's face. Someone can walk easily. Some elderly can breathe easily because of you. Or the technology that you develop actually make life for other people. That should be the purpose of life. So the life of purpose is to live a life full of purpose. Now, if you cannot really write down, your ideas on the back of a business card, you actually don't have a clear idea about your goals. So that's how we mean about focus and, a clear-cut idea. And creativity often requires willingness to look stupid. When you think about something, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. Like in my own case, when I said, we will develop a brain chip that will be connected with brain cells, and we will be able to communicate. People thought that we were stupid. And now, everybody is jumping on that wagon. So your creativity requires a willingness to look stupid. But just remember that hope is never a good strategy. It's just like you shoot an arrow in the air and you hope that a bird will come in front of it. Don't rely on that. Hope is good in a sense, but it's not good for a strategy. Now, things which, matter most to you must never be at the mercy of things that matter the least. So this is really all about you, your career, your focus, your strategy, your creativity, your willingness to take, courage. This is all meant to change lives and help other people. Now, just remember that you've seen that snowflakes, it's snowing right now in Calgary. The snowflakes are the most delicate thing on the planet, but when you put it together, it actually becomes an avalanche. The same thing is that our collective strength, the team, is really important. You are an average of 5 people that you hang out with. So your friends, somebody's interested in poetry, someone is interested in art, somebody's interested in artificial intelligence, someone is machine learning, someone is medicine. All of their expertise will be summed up in your character as you develop. And then you put together a team that the desire of that team is really the success of the idea, not individuals. Don't, people should be part of your team that add values to other people's thought and what is really best for the team, and they own the project themselves. So it's really important that, in addition to finding your own strengths, you look for the strengths within the team that's important. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran that the earth was dead. We made it come alive by pouring water into it. And so what does it mean that the earth was dead? The earth was dead because it did not have the ability to germinate, a life or a plant or a tree, or, shrub or anything. Even if you had the best seed, you put in that dead soil, it will die. The same thing is with us too. We are dead. Imam Ali alayhi salam said also that people are walking zombies. They are the walking, talking zombies. They are actually not realizing the full potential and credentials, the powers, the abilities, that Allah has endowed in them, and Allah has empowered them. So the most important thing is to find out in your own ability what it is, that quality that you think is really important. Then you could take that to the next level and make it really a reality. Then we come alive. Then we become alive. Until then, if we do not take our abilities, we do not really take them, Allah's blessings that has endowed in us. We all have unique strengths. No 2 thumbprints are identical. No 2 irises are identical. No 2 people are identical. We all are unique, and we created unique in the eyes of Allah. We have unique attributes. We are the only one who can actually feel the importance of those unique attributes, find them, go after them, and then take them to the epic that it really deserves. Inshallah, you will be successful.
MashaAllah, Dr. Saab, thank you so much. And as we have basically mentioned before, we are encouraging our youth to participate in these programs more and more. So we'll be at the end of the program, or maybe during the program, displaying some numbers that you can send your questions on WhatsApp, and we can try and answer those questions in the next episode. But without asking my questions, which I'll park for later on, let's welcome our new participants today. Raiha, I think she's the youngest, and it's the first time here. And I know that she had a couple of questions in mind that she wanted to ask Dr. Saab. So if you can unmute yourself, Raiha, and please ask the question.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
Well, my question was that what happens when something that we have been taught by modern science in our school conflicts with something that with an event or something that has happened in the Quran. For example, like in the Quran, it says Adam and Eve were the first humans, and they were the first, and their human life had sprouted. But in science, some believe that we come from monkeys and evolution. What happens? What happens then?
That's a beautiful question. May Allah bless you. Now you have perked my, my special nerve. So we can talk about this for days. We can go on. But great questions. I can tell you something very simple. We must not look, in Quran for science. We look in Quran for signs. Science itself is contingent upon those signs. Right? So there is nothing that is in the Quran that is not reconcilable with the modern sciences and teaching. And I give you a few examples for that too. The first experiment of human cloning was performed by the creation of Prophet Isa alayhi salam. No father, human, just mother, and the human cloning experiment took place. And that there was the baby Jesus Christ, right? We think about, Jamil Bhai was talking about the programs, Scotty, beam me. When Hazrat Sulaiman alayhi salam said, who is there to bring me the pulpit of, Bilqis? Bring that pulpit. And one of the person who had little knowledge of the book, he said, I will bring her with her throne here in a blink of an eye, right? So now
I believe Asif Barkhia, I believe the name was.
Exactly. And the jinn said, I will bring it before your court is dismissed. But, he said that he had little book knowledge of the book. And the book was actually the holy books. And there were no books written by the Amazons or anybody else that could actually bring it in a blink of an eye. And now we know that, when you think about quantum physics, you could take the particles and you could actually transfer thousands, millions of light years, and it will get there in no time. Similarly, I think, all of these aspects, the Quran and then the teaching of our Masumeen have given us hypotheses. And they did not provide practical solutions, which is provided through experimentation. That's what the science does. Allah Almighty knows, and our Masumeen also knew that with the time, the technology will change, experiments will change, and our tools will change, our thinking will change, and our way of looking at problems will also change. But the fundamental hypothesis will remain the same. And that's the beautiful thing about Quran is that, and the teachings of Masumeen is that it gives you the hypothesis. Now going back to your question about evolution that you learn in school, that we were monkeys. Okay, if everything happened on its own, let's do an experiment. We take a barrel, we take all car parts, we put it in there, and we shake it for gazillion years. Do you think a car will ever come out? No. Not even two screws will come together. You take 10 coins. I give you a simple experiment. Take 10 coins, write on them 1 to 10, shake them up, and then pick them one by one, blindly, right? What are the odds that you actually will get all 10 in that order, in that accidentally? 1 in a million. Similarly, if the process of evolution is slow, you must have heard that in Toronto Zoo, there was this monkey who was, quite old, maybe 60 years old. And he came out and he said, you know what? I am now a politician. I have become a human. Even if the process is bazillion years slower, you will not be able to actually see monkeys coming out of the jungles and saying that, I have now become a human. So these things are, evolution. Allah has put evolution in our all animal creation, and it done it beautifully described in Quran as well. That how the first fertilization occurs, then you actually have, you know, the bones, then the muscles come on top, then comes the skin. So this is the entire process of evolution the Quran also describes as well, you know. And so, you know, when you find in school these kinds of conflicts, don't be afraid. Even if the doubts come in your head, don't get scared. Entertain those thoughts, explore them even further, and you will come to realize that what the science and then the quantum physics and the physics teach you, actually, they know far less than what religion will teach you in the Holy Quran, in the teachings of our Masumi.
Okay.
Right. You have a secondary question then?
No.
You good?
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Moving on, as we were saying that we allow the new participants to ask their questions first. So I would refer to Ameera to, if she has a question, to present that question to Dr. Saab.
So my question is, so I'm currently a second year in commerce studying marketing. However, I've always had an interest in working in healthcare. So my question was, what advice do you have for students that are having trouble to figure out which route they want to take?
So, you know, all of these rivers, you know, be that the raindrop of the fresh water or the glacier water, excuse me, they eventually fall into the ocean, right? So the ocean of knowledge. So whatever different disciplines that you're studying, you know, for example, economics you're studying for the healthcare sector, it has tremendous applications because we are now starting to collect really, you know, data, but then we need to be able to have someone who could manage all of the costs that are related to healthcare, you know, in the hospitals. And, you know, all the major CEO of all hospitals are either economists or business people, because doctors know how to cut people open and then nurses can fix them up. But in the end, who's going to pay for all this and manage this? These are actually the health economists who will do all their homework. So, and I think, you know, your interest is really in the right area. Your expertise is in the right area because, you know, with aging population, with the large data management, with sophisticated technologies and also human resources, you know, dwindling, it will become really incumbent upon the people who manage the actual economy of the affairs of, you know, large hospitals and units. So I think once you have learned one particular aspects of the trade, you can apply it just about anywhere, right? If it is a healthcare, you can apply population health, you know, you can apply population banking, you can apply your knowledge to large, you know, cohorts and large organizations. So I don't think you really need to worry. Just think about, you know, where your future is, because these tools are really what we would need in 2050.
Dr. I would refer to the last program where I believe Faryal had a question, similar question. And basically, one key aspect that I picked up from there was Dr. Saab was insisting of do what you're most passionate about. That is the key. Now, if you have a specific concerns of your particular situation, Dr. Saab actually has offered that he can, you know, advise you personally too. So if that is a situation and if you need further clarification for sure, but as for our viewers and for others that who are everyone that who's watching this program, from the last program and this program, Dr. Saab's answer basically is follow your passion. And get it done, because then you will be most successful. I'll just quote an example of one of my friend's son. He basically, you will know how old I am by this example. He basically completed his engineering and then did his medicine. Actually, he's doing his medicine now. So at some point of time during your career, you might be very passionate now, but something will change. My daughter herself, like she's done in mass communication, but just the other day she was mentioning that she's now getting interested in law. So She's completed her undergraduate, she's working, but she's thinking in a totally different aspect. She's also working in a job that she wanted. So that change can happen anytime. We must be ready to accept that change. And one other thing that I picked up from Dr. Saab is, unless you try, you won't know that you would succeed, right? And when you try, Allah Ta'ala will definitely make ways for you. So having said that, taking a lot of your time, I promised myself that I will keep my talking to a minimum. Ibrahim, did you have any questions, my dear?
Jamil Bhai, before we actually move on, I think Ameera really asked a question that I think needs a little bit of more clarification from my point of view. I think I always tell people that unless you try to do something beyond what you have already mastered, you will not grow. So if you think that you have reached a particular pinnacle in your life and that you are the masters, you're actually not going to grow anymore. The biggest mistake we make in our lives is to think that we work for anybody but ourselves. So I think choosing your career choices, you need to be really selfish. And in the first program, we talked about, that if you like cheesecake and jalebi or gulab jamun, you don't take it when you go fishing. You take what fish likes, otherwise you catch cold and you will not catch any fish. So this is really important. And also it's important to remember, it's not what you have in terms of degree, your qualification, diploma, it's what you do with what you have. So, many Canadian, you would be surprised to know 57% illiteracy rate is among the Canadians, because what they learn in the high schools or universities, it's not really applied in real world anymore. The companies don't tap into their resources and also into expertise. But since you're thinking about management, management is doing things right, whereas leadership is doing the right things. So if you are going in the management of the hospitals or large healthcare sectors, you need to be in the leadership domain. And the leadership domain, you are the one to ask question why. First, most important thing is to ask the question, why am I doing what I am doing? How always comes later. If you don't ask the question why, your senior leadership will ask you why you. Why are you appointed at that role? So management is just like, fixing, chairs on a Titanic deck. They keep moving, a management will go and put things together, but leadership is actually making sure that you do the right thing. So management, in other words, is efficiency in climbing the ladder of success. Whereas leadership determines where the ladder is leaning, whether the ladder is leaning against the right wall. That is something that's very important that you should really develop if you want to go into that field in terms of degrees and diploma and specialization. Think about enhancing your leadership skills. And I think this is something that we are going to do in this program, in the subsequent programs. The key is not to really prioritize what is your schedule, but to schedule your priorities. And always remember that the effectiveness with people, efficiency with things. So celebrate every time you succeed, but then raise the bar. And most important thing I can really tell you, that be in the company of giants. And if you are the smartest person in a room, you're actually in the wrong room. I'm giving you for 10 years of my either department head or the scientific director of Children's Hospital or the scientific director of Hotchkiss Brain Institute and the founding member. I learned that be in the company of giants. And if you are the smartest person in any given room, you're actually in the wrong room. So surround yourself with sharp people. That's how you actually grow big and you go stronger.
All right, great. So another thing that I picked up, I'm picking up things for myself too, and to Ameera and Faryal both, is ask the question, why am I doing what I'm doing? Why do I want to change? And then ask the question, what would it do for me? So having said that, I would again go back to Ibrahim. Ibrahim, do you have any questions for us today or for Dr. Saab?
Actually, no, I don't have any questions. I think that this was like very clear and it was out there. And I learned a lot from this session, like a lot, and it has cleared my mind a lot.
Okay, thank you.
I actually
Faria?
have one more question.
Oh, go ahead, Faria. Go ahead, Ameera.
It's similar to my first question, but my question is, how do you like enter a field where you don't have that educational background or that experience? Like, how do I get in, like where do I start kind of thing?
Great question. You know, Maulay Kainat Ali alayhi salam said that if you are not sure, you know, jump right into it, right? This is really the best way to learn, is that if you're doubtful, if you stayed on it, should I not, you will regret all your life. I wish I had taken that plunge. So try it. And then, you know, you will learn something. You will make mistakes. Always I tell people that make mistakes. If you want to succeed, double the rate of your failures. This is okay. You know, don't ever consider that failing or not really accomplishing a particular task it defines who you are. That's actually not true. What defines you is your passion, your commitment. Try it. And Imam Ali alayhi salam also said that I recognize Allah by failing in my own intent, in my own desires, in my own vision, in my own mission. So, you know, this is what Imams, you know, he could never fail at anything, but those are the lessons for us to learn. And he would say that I recognize Allah by, you know, faltering on my own kind of aspirations, my dreams, my vision, and my efforts. So I think those are really important things. But the most important thing in your career, and I think this is what our Masumeens have also taught, that principles are more important than anything else, you know, and not values. Unfortunately, and I am really sad to say this, that in this particular world, our lives are now run by value system. You know, criminals have values, but they are not driven by principles. The criminals will say, don't sell drug in my neighborhood. That's a value. They stick to it, right? But they are not principally driven. So principles are like laws of nature. You pick up one end of the stick, you pick up the other end of the stick at the same time. You jump from a 10-story building, halfway through you can't change your mind because gravity takes over, right? So principles are really important no matter which particular discipline you are in. If your vision is driven by the principles and core values that are the teachings of Quran and Masumeen alayhi salam, you will never go wrong. You will make a wrong turn. We all do. We are not masoom, but soon you will recognize it and you will correct the course. I think this is where lies the key to your success, is that, you know, keep your mind open to change all the time. Welcome it. I would welcome it. Court it. It's only by examining and re-examining your opinions and ideas that you can progress. You cannot progress, you know, by just kind of staying at one place. Then it becomes more like a stagnant water that would breed tadpoles and mosquitoes. Nothing really good will come out of this. So the important thing is to really keep moving. Try different things. And if your ship doesn't come up to you, swim out to your ship, right? You know, a nice cruise ship may look nice, parked, docked on a Vancouver harbor. That's not what the ship is for. That's not what they make Titanic to really look beautiful. The Titanic was meant to actually go and weather the storm, fight with those, you know, waves, 40, 50, 100 feet waves. That's what the ship is for. So I think go out. You should not be afraid, of really going. And the most important thing that really takes the wind out of our sail is the language of victimization. You know, I can say I wear a hijab, so people discriminate. I'm brown, people discriminate. I am this, the people discriminate. Don't let this language of victimization, because this is the biggest victimizer. This is the one that takes the wind out of our sail. You should believe in yourself, in your ability, and then go for it. Allah is musaddibul asbab. He will open the path, and then choose the path which is based on principles.
Thank you. That's very well said. Oh.
Go ahead.
I just want to say thank you for answering my question, and I liked how you used real life examples to explain what you said. I just wanted to thank you for answering my question.
Oh, you're
So,
welcome.
Dr. Sahab, I'm going to pick your brain a bit more on this one. So, what role does information, facts about what you want to do would play in such a decision if Ameera or Faryal were to make this decision?
I think, again, a brilliant question. You know, it's tough to deal with, you know, anchors like yourself who really make us comfortable. My job was to make these kids uncomfortable. But, you know, important thing to remember as we talked about this is the data is not information. Ameera, you should write this down. Data is not information. Information is not knowledge. Knowledge is not wisdom. Wisdom requires conscious. Humans are the only species that have conscious. And your conscious can only be corrected, led, and purified by Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and his progeny. So we have to go to those who are rasikhuna fil ilm. They are actually inside the knowledge, the sea and the oceans of knowledge. And we should go and get our principles ingrained in our heart based on our tazkiyah nafs, the correction of our nafs. That's where we have to really go. And the data is, like, as I said, it's not an information, it's not knowledge, it's not wisdom. Wisdom, is also contingent upon your conscious, and the conscious you will eventually have to come back. And I think Jamil Bhai started out with the same earlier question as to how do you reconcile religion, for example, or a faith with the modern sciences or the knowledge. I was giving an interview with CNN and quite a few years ago when we came on the Time magazine and the Discovery Channel. So he was interviewing me and he said, you know, in the US, we've got a lot more money than you have in Canada. Where do you derive your inspiration from? And I said to him, it was live. I said to him, from Quran and Ahlebait. He said, Quran, I get it. I've heard about Quran. Well, what is this Ahlebait thing? So when I introduced Ahlebait, he looked at me and he said, my God, you have very strong faith. And I said to him, I can write the best essay. I can write the best, paper. If you take this light away, I cannot read it. So this light, which is Nur, provides true meaning to my knowledge. Without it, it is useless. So I think the idea of your knowledge and your conscious at the end is service to humanity, that you will serve humanity to the best of your ability. I think this is what the conscious will do, and it will trump data, information, everything else.
Jazakallah, Dr. Sahab. And without further ado, I would move on to Faryal. Faryal, do you have any questions for Dr. Sahab?
Yeah. First, I'd just like to say, thank you for sharing all your knowledge with us, with us in this session. It was really beautiful. It was really insightful to listen to you. My question is, given that because of the pandemic, we all had to move online. And in the beginning, it felt like, okay, I can do things on time. I can do everything on my schedule. But now it kind of feels like, because I have the same space to study, I have the same space which I eat in or work in, the same environment. So I feel like personally it's harder for me to focus on my prayers when I'm praying. So because when I go to pray, what I keep thinking about is my assignments, my due dates and everything. Whereas it used to be when I used to go to school, it will be okay, my school work stays in school. And then when I come home, I get to focus on my own routine or on my prayers, for example. So stuff like that. So it gets kind of hard to focus on your prayers in that way. So my question would be, what would you advise to focus better on prayers, or to have a better schedule, so one can focus better?
May Allah bless you. I think when you're studying, that is your prayer. And Imam Ali alayhi salam also said that 1 hour of meditation is better than 70 years of worship. So when you're studying, and the knowledge is taking you closer to Allah, that is worship. And Prophet, peace be upon him, said that when you go in search of knowledge, the angels will spread their wings underneath your feet. The fish down in the bottom of the ocean and the birds in the sky will ask for your forgiveness from Allah. And he said a scholar in among his people is just like a prophet in his own community. So, don't worry about whether your focus is not there or you're not there. Your education, your learning is the one that is the most important prayer, because that prayer will serve the humanity in the longer run. When you think about your iman and deen and faith, this is what you do, prayer, salat, your fasting and other aspects. It's only 10%. 90% is what you are doing. And that is service to humanity. Learn, learn, and learn. But what you can do is that, whenever you are praying, you can relate your prayers to your education, and you go into, your prayer mat, and then you ask, Rabbi zidni ilma, oh Allah, enhance my knowledge. And then you're coupling your knowledge with your prayers. And what happens is that your link, because when we are really reciting Holy Quran, this is when Allah is talking to us. And when we are praying, we are talking to Allah. So, when you're talking to Allah, just then ask Allah to enhance your, knowledge, your wisdom, open your chest for more knowledge, and then open your eyes so that you could see the blessings of Allah all around you. So don't get upset that the quality of prayer is not there. When you're studying, that is the prayer.
Any follow-up questions for you?
No, I just want to say that it we often forget that education, or studying anything is also a form of not worship, I would say, but something that Allah has asked us to do, and that's something often we as students forget. So I think this was a good reminder. So thank you so much.
Yeah, I think I will add to it what Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam had said. Imam said, I would like to see my Shia youth in only two conditions. Either they are, the scholars themselves, or those in search of knowledge. They are a knowledgeable person or in search of knowledge. So when you are searching, you are in compliance with your religious obligations. Work hard. And I think this is where Allah will reveal its secrets to you. Allah does wahi to an ant, to a bee. Allah does wahi to a tree. And then when you are seeking knowledge, yes, COVID-19 has thrown a curveball, but mashallah, you're young. You're very resilient. When you are resilient, you're one of the most resilient nations. That resiliency will allow you to bounce back. But one thing that you must realize is that recent statistical data shows that the quality of learning was 70% declined on online learning, because the knowledge base is not as good, your attention is not good, and there are too many distractors. So what I would suggest when you are praying, you take out those distractions that are taking you away from your studies, from your prayers. And then same thing is when you are studying, don't feel guilty. That, oh my God, this, I could have done this and this. Just, let it go. Both of them are forms of prayers, and you're, mashallah, doing well.
And if I may, I just wanted to add two things. And for the first will be, of course, a saying from Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. Someone had asked him this exact question, not like in terms of COVID-19 or staying at home, but in terms of not being able to focus in namaz. And his advice was to listen to what you're reading. That will give you focus as to what you're saying. And the surahs that you know the meaning of, that would help you. The other is my personal experience. My personal experience has been, I'm a person who has like 2,000 different thoughts off during namaz. And the only way I am able to do this is by following this principle. The second thing that I wanted to mention was that nafla namaz, right? So the extra, so and the hukum for that is pray them if your heart feels like it. You must pray the faraiz namaz That's a must. And if you feel like it, pray those nafla namaz too. So here it's on you. It's the religion gives you so much open space, so much leverage. Um, and if you are not able to focus well, pray your taqibats after the namaz. That kind of, if you are thinking in your mind that I have not focused, I have not justice to the prayers, then you pray taqibat, which will give you the satisfaction that you have done your ibadat. These are my 2 cents. I don't know if it makes sense to you, but that's something that has helped me. With that, I will open the floor. If any other questions are there, well, we'll take the question. One more question. And if not, then we'll end this program. Or if Dr. Saab has to say a few last words, that would be great.
I think, I would add to what you said so beautifully and eloquently. I think Faryal's question was that, how can really focus. When I pray, I will often get the idea, oh, I should do this, should have put this particular electrode there, and I should have recorded that part of the brain activity. And all of this is chirping in my head. I'm so excited about do experiments. But then I say to myself that this is what Allah is now talking back to me, planting the ideas in my head. And so this is the reward that you get from also praying and fasting as well. And the same thing happens during Ramadan as well. When you actually cut down, you don't have to run for 20 cups of coffee or tea or food or what have you. Your brain is running on very low ATP, but that really gets your brain cells, which are in the deeper layers, to kickstart. So if an idea comes and you don't have focus, that's okay. It will come. It will come. So just continue to do your wajibat because they are mandatory.
So if any questions, girls or Ibrahim? No? Okay. So I'll just close with one last word saying from Imam Ali on this. And he says that when you want God to talk to you, recite Quran, and when you want to talk to God, read namaz. So that's what you're doing, Faryal, over there, and me, everyone. When we're praying, we're talking to God. And he, as Dr. Saab said, he gives us ideas on different things. You might remember, hey, I forgot this in my assignment. Well, that's Alamia's one way of helping you out. So having said that, thank you so much for all the participants. Thank you so much, Dr. Saab, again. We'll join again in the next program. Every one of you is most welcome to join. And if you have friends who want to join, you can definitely get in touch with myself, and I will manage that. And to end the program with the prayer that all your futures be filled with success and content and happiness. And may Allah bless you all. Thank you so much. Khuda Hafiz.